Christine Elbell. I live in San Francisco, California, and we got to know Senior1Care a little over a year ago. And it was for us a crisis situation because my father had fallen and broken his hip, and according to him they were booting him out of the hospital rather quickly and into rehab, which he wasn't too thrilled about, but he did very well there. So we wanted to make sure that we got the right match. And when I spoke to Susan about the services of Senior1Care, there's just something about the way she described the philosophy, the family's own experience with caregiving and what worked and what didn't work and why they started this agency, and what the philosophy was about making sure that the person, particularly an elderly person, in this case my dad was in his mid-90s, they made sure to tell us that Dad would be in charge of his house and that Dad was not going to be told what to do, that things were going to be in a conversation, they were going to be looking out for him, but he was going to be the boss at his house, which is something he very much wanted to be. So in the last year of his life, I would say that the caregivers took him out of this place of loneliness and created more independence for him rather than dependence. They were able to get him stabilized in using his walker, therefore he was able to go on outings. They went out constantly, which he loved. It was very good for him, and he loved going out, and they'd go get coffee and they'd go visit people, and it was really quite rewarding for him. And for my brother and myself, it was so reassuring that he was bonding with these people, he was accepting the care that he needed. It really worked out beautifully. So when we decided to go with an agency, I felt very strongly about it, as did my brother, that being afar, we did not feel that we could be or should be in the role of case management for caregivers for our father when we could not be hands-on, we couldn't drop in any time, we didn't have a lot of control, we wouldn't have had a lot of control, and we wouldn't have had a lot of confidence as to how things were going if we had just hired somebody to come in. But it was hard to make that decision in a way because we had many friends who were advising us to just hire somebody privately, you'd save money, and then you'll have the house covered, you'll have your dad covered. And we just were a little uneasy about that, to think about all the liability issues involved in an arrangement like that. As it turned out, my neighbor did have an issue where the person that she had hired with a good recommendation ended up stealing from her household. And I'm sure that's not totally typical, but it does happen, and we wanted the security of the employee screening and all the kinds of monitoring, training and monitoring and constant supervision that an agency like this, a quality agency, provides, so that we did not have to worry about those people being in the house. We just felt that that was completely handled, and again took off a huge amount of stress and potential liability for my brother and myself. So it was worth every penny. And it took the stress out of that worrying, that constant worrying about when is the phone call going to come in the middle of the night and Dad's on the floor alone with a broken hip, which is what happened. So after Senior1Care was there, the stress was really lifted. You know, I'm out in California, my brother's in Colorado, and it just felt great to know that things were covered, and covered well. I mean, covered in a good way, in a quality way. Dad was happy. There were no complaints on his end about any of the care he was getting, and he would frequently say things like, I haven't had this much fun since high school, maybe more, maybe it's more fun now. So he really loved his gals and really appreciated the companionship and the joking and just the camaraderie that they had with him. My brother and I both completely agree that we would give Senior1Care a 10 on a scale of 10, and more if we could. So I would not hesitate to recommend Senior1Care for any family. We have had the best experience, far beyond our initial expectations, and they do a fabulous job. They will always be there for you, and they will get the right people on the job. So the people that my dad had in his life from Senior1Care so enriched his life that we'll be forever grateful. Sorry, I got a little teary there.